Hey, John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. I have another question here today. This one I thought was really interesting, kind of a little funny, this reaction here, but I thought this would be a good one to answer with video because this is a common situation I think of what happens when you go into the wrong job interview or you get wrong, like, should you kind of exact your vengeance, or take how much should you stand up for yourself in these kind of situations. So I got this email from Saeed, and he says, "Hi John, it's been many years that I followed you in your Foresight courses, in your blog and Twitter. I have run into a problem with a job interview that I really need to know your opinion as a professional, so that I know if I have to do a reaction or should I let it go. It's a bit of a story, so please bear with me. I graduated with a master's in embedded systems a year ago, and since then I'm working in the university as a technical support and developer. I have many years experience in developing in many fields such as web, desktop, mobile, and of course embedded systems. Since my contract at the university is coming to its end, I put my CV on a local website for employers to see. So I got contacted by a hiring agent of a very well-known and big company in the field of IT. He told me that they are interested in a Java developer. So I said, yes, of course, please set an interview for me. So I put time and got a few hours off my job and jumped on the train heading to the city where the company is located. He basically says that a high-ranked manager of the company had done the interview, and he went through the introductions, and they said, how many years of Java consultancy do you have? And he was surprised because he was expecting to be interviewed as a Java developer. So he said he's never been a Java consultant, and I don't know what the difference between a Java developer and Java consultant is. So then he says the guy changed his attitude, politely kicked him out of the company. He was hoping for a technical interview, but that didn't happen. He didn't show any sign of being offended or sad when he got it out of there. But when he left, he says that he's kicking himself and asked himself, why did they invite him without bringing up the fact that they're looking for a Java consultant. He took 6 hours off his own work without getting paid, and he paid a lot for the train tickets. So now he says, now I want to see, is it good or bad that I sent them an email and tell them that due to their mistake I have lost almost $100 and they should compensate this to me. I'm not afraid of them. I just want to know, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Please, can you answer my question a bit faster? Because if you agree that I should complain about the interview, I should do it pretty fast. So, okay. So here's my short. Well, here's the quick answer, right? Which is, do not send them an email saying that that they ripped you off for $100 and 6 hours worth of work or anything like that. This is going to be a little bit harsh, but I'll be totally honest with you. This is partially your fault. It's not entirely their fault. In some regards, it is their fault, right? Recruiters are a little bit unscrupulous these days, and they just call up anyone, and they're trying to get their commission, and they don't take care to make sure that people are a right fit. But at the same time, you need to do some research yourself and make sure that you are a right fit, or that you know what you're getting into before you agree, especially to take time off of work to go down for an interview. You need to know enough about the company, about the job that they're hiring for, to find out as much information as possible to make sure that it is going to be a good match. Second, also in the interview, I'm not sure I would have, it seems like there's an issue between the terminology being used, right? So, what is a Java developer versus a Java consultant? Well, I could say Java developer usually is going to work in-house on Java development, and a consultant might travel and do work on remote projects, but in reality, they're really the same set of skills in the same job. There might be some differences there, but I do think it was a mistake to even bring that up. In my opinion, if you're in this situation again, I wouldn't say anything about consultancy. I would just assume, make them synonymous in your vocabulary, unless they specifically say, how long have you been doing remote Java consultancy or something like that, where you can't just group it together, because it really makes no difference. So I think making that distinction kind of hurt, and you never know how people are going to view job titles and things like that. So that's an issue. So what I'm saying is that it's not entirely their fault, and how you reacted to the consultancy thing may have triggered something that that made them a little bit cautious. I don't know, I wasn't there, but just be careful around that. Just kind of go with the flow, and investigate it ahead of time. But I mean, obviously you've learned that lesson. But just kind of the bigger issue of when someone sort of in the tech industry, like a company or something like that, screws you over like that, what do you do? Do you send them an email and demand some money? Even if it were entirely their fault, I still wouldn't do something like that, just because it's a small community. Word gets around. You're never going to communicate your side of the story appropriately, and you're out some money. Even if you got that money, it probably would come at a higher cost to you. Plus, what does it really matter in the long run? I mean, aside from the monetary value of it, sure, you're going to feel better by telling them off and making them realize that they wasted your time, but they're not going to understand it. They're always going to take their side and their perspective. And you might want to take a job with this company in the future. You might need that connection. There's no point in burning a bridge. I guess one way to look at it is, what is the best thing that could happen in this situation for you? Probably the best thing that could happen is that they actually offer you some compensation. But that's it. I mean, they're not gonna say, "Oh, we're so sorry." That's probably not gonna happen. They're not gonna offer you a job now or a real interview. That's just unlikely. But when you think about what the worst thing that could happen is, there's a lot of bad things that could happen from that. So yeah, I would just kind of suck it up and just take that as a learning experience. I know my advice is not the, but I'm being honest with you, right? I'm not telling you just what you want to hear. I'm saying that they obviously they made a mistake, but you probably made some mistakes as well, and just by not doing your due diligence, and hopefully you've learned from it. And really, it's too late to correct it. Like, you're not going to get, even if you got money back, it's a life lesson. Don't go after it. Don't even let it upset you. I mean, stuff like this happens. I know you've got that knot in your stomach, and you feel injustice, and you feel like you have to do something about injustice, but it's not always necessary to do something about injustice. Sometimes it's better to just let it go. It's difficult to do, but you can become bitter and jaded if you can't let things like this go. People make mistakes. Sometimes it's completely unintentional. Sometimes it's just because they're incompetent. Just assume they're incompetent, and move on, and learn what you can from it. And one piece of advice I'd add too, just in general about these kind of things, is the right thing doesn't always happen, right? So, and it doesn't always matter. So just because you think that something should be handled in a certain way, or some protocol, right, or things should go a certain way, or this is the right action or behavior, you can't enforce that on the rest of the world, that view. So what you have to really think is strategically, what is, given the way that the world operates and that other people operating, companies, interviews, all this, how can you adapt to that to your own benefit, versus trying to plant your flag in the ground and saying, no, everyone needs to do things right because I'm doing. It's very easy to be right and be almost a martyr for that cause with no benefit to you. You're just getting slaughtered without benefit. It's better to be to recognize the reality of the situation and to be able to adapt to that for your own benefit. Look at the things from a non-emotional viewpoint and see, how can you use this to your advantage? How can you adapt things to your advantage? Anyway, a little bit of a long answer there, but I thought that was an interesting question. Situations like that happen, and it's sometimes difficult to deal with those things. well, that's it for this video. If you like these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. Appreciate it. And if you have questions, you can leave a comment or you can send me an email. I can't answer every single question, but I've been answering a lot of them because this seems like a pretty simple way to do this and share the benefit of what I'm saying with as many people as possible. So appreciate everyone that has that's subscribed and is watching these videos and supporting it. I'll talk to you again next time. Take care.